The guests who never checked out first person disappeared from room 12 on a Tuesday night. By Wednesday morning, his car was still parked outside. His suitcase was still open on the bed, and the shower was still running behind a locked bathroom door. When I forced it open, no one was inside. I should have called the police right then. Instead, I turned off the water, cleaned the room, and told myself the guest had skipped out without paying. That was my first mistake. My second was staying at the motel. My name is Eva Mercer. I'm 33, and for 6 months I worked the night shift at a roadside motel in northern Nevada called the Silver Pines Motor Lodge, though there wasn't a pine tree within 20 miles of it. 16 rooms in an L shape around a cracked parking lot, a tiny office with a flickering light, and the sign so far gone that half its letters no longer lit up. Behind it, nothing but desert, dead brush, and a service road that disappeared into darkness. I took the job because I was broke. 3 months earlier, I'd lost my warehouse position when the company relocated out of state. My savings had thinned down to nothing, and my landlord had started leaving notices taped to my door. Silver Pines offered something I couldn't say no to: a free room behind the office, plus enough pay to keep gas in my truck. I didn't ask many questions during the interview. I should have. The owner, a 72-year-old man named Caldwell, gave me the keys, showed me the register, and laid down 3 rules. Office stays locked after midnight. Don't rent roommates. And if the office phone rings after 3 in the morning, don't answer it. The outside line had been disconnected years ago, so there was no reason for it to ring at all. I laughed. He wasn't joking. And if a guest asks whether anyone's staying in room 8, he added, tell them no. Why would they ask? Because sometimes they hear someone knocking from inside. For the first month, nothing happened. Most nights were painfully quiet, truckers stopping when they were too tired to keep driving, young couples renting a room for a few hours, families who'd missed the interstate exit and didn't want to backtrack in the dark. I checked people in, made coffee strong enough to strip paint, and watched old movies on my laptop until sunrise. The rooms were tired but functional. Roommates sat at the far end of the first row, beside a broken ice machine that never got fixed, and I honestly didn't think about it much. Every job has a closet nobody opens. I figured that was mine. Then, in my 5th week, a guest named Laura Bennett came to my window at 2:40 in the morning, pale and shaking, asking if her family was staying in room 12. I checked the register. Room 12 was empty. She said she could hear a little boy crying through the wall, saying he couldn't find his mother. I walked the room myself. Empty. Bed made, bathroom door open, dead silent. When I told her that, her face went white. He stopped crying the second you opened the door. She refused to sleep in room 11 again and left at sunrise without asking for a refund. Cleaning her room afterward, I found small handprints pressed into the dust on the wall. A child's height, 5 fingers at a time, marching straight toward room 12. When I told Caldwell, he didn't seem surprised. He just told me that if I ever heard the boy myself, I shouldn't answer him. I searched the motel online that night and found an old review, 11 years old, warning people never to stay in room 12. Because a child had spoken to the guest through the bathroom drain. The account photo belonged to a much younger Laura Bennett. 2 weeks later, a man named Patrick Doyle checked into room 12 a little after midnight, exhausted, paying cash. Around 3 a.m., the office phone rang, the one that was supposed to be dead. I picked it up out of pure reflex. It was Patrick. There's someone in my bathroom, he whispered. I told him to leave the room and come to the office. I can't. She's standing in front of the door. Who is? Long pause, then, barely audible. "She doesn't have a face." The line went dead. My cell had no signal. Same as always out there. I crossed the lot with the master key. Water was running behind the bathroom door. When I got it open, Patrick's suitcase sat open on the bed, his wallet and keys on the nightstand. But the shower store was empty, the window too small for an adult to fit through, and Patrick was simply gone. The sheriff searched the property 4 hours and found nothing. When Caldwell arrived and saw the police outside room 12, his face collapsed and he muttered, "Not again," before catching himself. He claimed the records of past disappearances had been destroyed in a flood. I'd seen the locked filing cabinet in the back office. I knew he was lying. That afternoon I confronted him. He finally admitted it. 6 people had vanished from Silver Pines before Patrick. 7, counting him. He handed me 2 months' pay and told me to leave before sunset. I should have taken it. Instead I asked what was really in room 8. "It isn't a room," he said quietly. Before I could ask what that meant, someone knocked on the night window. A little boy stood outside, maybe 8 years old, striped pajamas, bare feet, hair dripping wet, though it hadn't rained in weeks. "Have you seen my mother?" he asked through the glass. Caldwell grabbed my arm and told me not to speak to him. The boy smiled, turned, and walked toward room 8. A trail of wet footprints followed him across the lot and stopped dead at that door. "Who was that?" I asked. Caldwell's voice cracked. "My son." In 1984, Caldwell and his wife Elaine ran Silver Pines together, living with their son Michael in the same back room a household slept in. One night, every phone in every room rang at once. A woman's voice on the line begged guests to open their bathroom doors. Most hung up, 3 didn't, and by morning, all 3 were gone. Their rooms flooded even though the pipes were bone dry. The next night, Michael disappeared too. Elaine swore she heard him calling from inside room 8 and opened the door to find a hallway that had no business existing behind a single motel room, stretching on and on, lined with doors. Michael standing at the far end. She ran after him. The door shut behind her. Neither of them ever came back. Caldwell told me the room didn't kill people. It kept them trapped in the exact moment they vanished, replayed endlessly, feeding whatever lived down that hallway. And once someone answered its call, it could reach them again through any phone, any mirror, any drain, forever. We didn't get long to process any of it. A scream came from the parking lot. A woman named Rachel Morse, whose husband Ben had vanished from their bathroom mirror, the same way Patrick had. Caldwell ordered every remaining guest off the property. As the last cars pulled out, all 16 room phones started ringing at once, including room 8, a room with no phone line at all. Rachel snatched up the office phone before we could stop her. Ben's voice came through, clear as day. "Rachel, I found the boy." The door to room 8 clicked open on its own, for 1 second, before Caldwell managed to slam it shut again. We all saw it, a hallway stretching into yellow, flickering dark, and Ben standing under a dying light with a face gone completely smooth and blank. There was no leaving after that. Our cars wouldn't start. Rachel's had vanished outright. Nothing left but 4 rings pressed into the dust. The highway itself was gone, swallowed by a wall of black fog. The motel sitting alone in the dark like it was the only thing left in the world. Doors began opening down every row. Behind each one, the same endless hallway, and voices calling out names, mine among them. My little brother Sam, dead 14 years, called to me from room 12, apologizing for a boating accident that had never been anyone's fault but bad weather. I nearly walked toward him before Caldwell's cane caught me across the shoulder and snapped me out of it. "That isn't your brother," he said. He was right. It was left standing there in room 12's doorway, wearing my brother's face. And when I didn't come, the sadness melted off it in an instant, replaced by something with too many teeth. Caldwell said there was only one way this ended. Someone had to go into that hallway and close the door at the very end of it. The first door. The one the whole thing had grown out of. So the three of us who were left, Caldwell, Rachel, and I, walked into room 8 together. A rope tied around Caldwell's waist, a shotgun in his hands, a crowbar in mine, a kitchen knife in Rachel's. The hallway went on far longer than any building could hold. Room numbers climbed past 16, past 20, past anything the motel had ever had. Some doors bore dates instead of numbers. The nights other guests had disappeared, going back decades, further than the motel had even existed. Behind one, a woman screamed without pause, over and over, never seeming to run out of breath. Behind another, something scratched patiently at the wood from the inside, like it had all the time in the world, and knew we'd hear it eventually. Then I saw a door with my own name carved into it, the letters gouged deep and rough, as though scratched out with a fingernail other than a blade. I stopped walking. Caldwell wouldn't let me touch it. "Never open a door with your own name on it," he said. "You're behind it." We found Ben behind a door marked with that night's date, tied to a bed with foam cord. A faceless woman rising from behind the shower curtain the moment Rachel cut him loose. Caldwell's shotgun blast folded her backward at an angle no spine should bend, and she crawled up onto the ceiling and came after us there instead. We ran. Further down, the hallway shifted into a version of the motel from 1984. Fresh paint, clean carpet, and Michael was waiting at the end of it. Exactly as he'd looked the night he vanished. Elaine stepped out beside him, not a day older. Caldwell dropped his shotgun and walked toward them like a man finally coming home. "Tell them about the fire," Elaine said. Smiling too wide, Caldwell froze. A year after his family disappeared, desperate to burn the room out of existence, he'd set the east wing on fire, and a homeless couple sleeping in one of the rooms had died in it. The fire never touched room 8 at all. It simply rebuilt the motel around it, stronger, with 2 more names added to whatever it was keeping. "That's why it never let you go," Elaine said. "You gave it more to hold on to." The thing wearing his family's faces reached for him. I hauled him back by the collar before it could close its hand around his wrist, and the real hallway opened again beneath our feet, descending, ending in a black door with no handle at all. Every door behind us opened at once. Every missing guest we'd heard of, and dozens we hadn't, stepped out into the corridor, burned, drowned, faceless, smiling, calling our names all at once. Patrick was among them. So was my brother. Caldwell shoved the shotgun into my hands. "Get them through the door. Go." He waded into the crowd swinging his cane, while Rachel, Ben, and I ran for the black door at the end. There was no handle, until I pressed both palms flat against it, and one pushed itself outward beneath my hands like it had been waiting for me specifically. It opened onto room 8, as it looked in 1984. Elaine and Michael alive and small and real on the bed. An old phone ringing on the nightstand. A younger Caldwell reaching for it in slow motion across the room. "This is where it started," older Caldwell whispered. Dropping to his knees, I raised the shotgun and put a round through the receiver before the young Caldwell's hand could close around it. The room split apart at the seams. Dozens of identical room 8 South fanning out around us, each one holding a different guest at the exact second they'd picked up a phone that should never have rung. Black water poured through the cracks in the ceiling. Elaine grabbed Michael and ran for us, but Caldwell didn't move. "I'm part of the first moment," he said. "I don't think I can leave it." Michael took his father's hand anyway, then closed the door. Dad. He pushed the three of us through ahead of him. The last thing I saw was Caldwell, his wife, and his son standing together in that flooding room. The crowd of vanished guests closing in around them, and Patrick, for 1 second, looking almost peaceful, before the black door swung shut from the other side. I woke up in the parking lot at sunrise. Rachel was beside me, holding Ben. Roommate was gone. A bare concrete wall stood in its place. Every other door on the property hung open on empty rooms. None of the missing guests came back. Not Patrick, not Michael, not Elaine, not Caldwell. Our car started. The highway was exactly where it had always been. The police found the old register, the shotgun, and the burned out phone receiver in a room that, according to the county's own building plans, had never existed. Silver Pines was demolished 6 months later. I watched. Everything came down easily until the machines reached that stretch of bare concrete, and the excavator operator climbed down and refused to go any further, because behind the concrete was an old wooden door with a brass number screwed to it. 8. The county buried the whole foundation instead of clearing it, and a truck stop stands there now. Bright lights, fuel pumps, a diner that never closes. I drove past it exactly once. As I passed, my phone rang with no number on the screen. I answered anyway. Static, and then Caldwell's voice, very far away. It built new rooms. Evan. It doesn't need the motel anymore. A boy's whisper behind him. Have you seen my mother? The line cut out. That was 3 months ago. Travelers have been disappearing from that truck stop ever since. Cars still parked, meals still warm on the tables, security footage showing them walk down the restroom hallway and simply never walk back. Last week, a package arrived with no return address. Inside was an old brass motel key on a cracked plastic tag. Room 17. Silver Pines never had a 17th room. On the back, scratched by hand, reserved for Evan Mercer. I threw it in a lake. It was on my kitchen counter the next morning. Tonight, at exactly 3:17, my phone rang. I didn't answer. A few minutes later, someone knocked on my bathroom door. 3 knocks, a pause, 3 knocks. My bathroom has no other way. Water is running behind that door right now, and Patrick Doyle is calling my name, telling me I'm in the wrong door, asking me, very patiently, to try again. I've thought about calling the number back. I've thought about it more times than I'd like to admit. Sitting here with the lights on and the television turned up loud enough to drown out the sound of running water, some part of me, the same part that forced open a locked bathroom door on my very first night at Silver Pines instead of just walking away, wants to know how far this goes. Whether Patrick is really still Patrick in there somewhere, still waiting for someone to open the right door instead of the wrong one. Whether Caldwell is right, that the hallway doesn't kill anyone, only keeps them looping the worst moment of their life, forever for something down at the bottom of it to feed on. I don't know how much longer. The lock is going to hold. So if you ever pull into a lonely motel and the night clerk tells you one of the rooms can't be rented, believe him. Don't ask what happened there. Don't chase strange sounds down a hallway that shouldn't exist. And if a phone rings after 3 in the morning, wherever you are, whatever you hear on the other end, do not open the bathroom door.